aboard, everyone. So we're gonna do a replay review today of Cam and Molly's set from the last UTF event, which I'm really excited for. I think I've told this story a couple times, but this I think was my favorite set to watch because it reminded me a lot of when I first started playing Street Fighter. I played primarily with my best friend. This was Street Fighter 4 days before there was like good netcode and things that made it really possible to play online. So we also weren't really aware that there were communities like locals that you could go play in person and meet people and play games against them. So we basically played against each other thousands of times. And back then too, there wasn't a training mode or anything else. So you really learn the game by playing with someone and learn the systems by playing with them and through trial and error. And so you see a bunch of like adaptations that come up because you've played against each other so much. So you just see it happen in match. Anyway, I saw it here too, which was really fun for me. So anyway, I'm gonna try to do this one a little bit different than I have in the past and hit some of the key points and not go into depth of the whole set. I grabbed about 4 matches that were 2 wins apiece. That way we can look at some stuff. Generally, it's a lot easier to do a replay review on a loss than a win. So I wanted to get kind of some examples from both perspectives. That way we find some stuff to talk about. And I told myself that this is going to be a quicker version of like 15 minutes in the key points, but I start talking and then I don't stop talking. So we'll see how it actually goes. I got some notes and we'll just kind of dive right into it here. And while this is loading, I'll pause this. A little introduction. If you don't know, Cam and Molly are part of the Wake Up 3 podcast, which I really encourage you to check out. The link is down below my face right now. They also collaborate with Fight Rise a bit to do a Tuesday night talk show on the Discord. Audience participation is encouraged. It's a lot of fun. It runs the opposite weeks as the One Fight Stand events. So join and talk and listen if you have a chance. But we'll get right to it. We got Cam is on DJ and Molly on Lily. And so there's some feeling out process to begin with, and some about DIs that we could talk about here. I'm gonna wait a little bit longer to illustrate something, but this is actually probably a good spot. Something to note here: we're kind of throwing a DI in the block string, and we'll see some spots later where there's a better example of this. But what brings to my mind right here is if we're in a block string or we're hit confirming a combo, we don't want to be thinking about the DI there because, and I think at the beginning of the next match, I had a note to talk about some of this, but we'll talk about like the structure of the match and the way quote-unquote turns work. That I think you actually both have a pretty intuitive understanding of that, as evidenced later in some of these replays. But one thing to keep in mind for the DI is it's kind of a way to interrupt someone else's turn, generally. Not so much something we want to do on our turn, with some exceptions. So we'll say that now, and then I'm going to give some examples of what I mean later. Good air to air. And I think throughout the whole set we'll see, and in some of the games I'm not going to go through here, but Molly doing a great job of kind of using this, I should know these. I think Condor Spike or Condor Spire, whatever the dive is, right? We'll see some good uses of that over fireballs later, especially. You gotta be careful throwing out. Is a little bit unsafe on block, which I also see Cam adjust to a bit later. But back and forth, like this is pretty good patience, I will say, and we'll want to talk about both characters' game plan, their default game plan a bit too, because this set in general is a great example of whoever was sticking to their game plan, whether that be Lily or DJ, tended to be the one seeing success. But good kind of whip punish there, and that's a good jump in. And this is another good example of, or the first example we'll start talking about. On the jump in, we want to be ready. It's going to be our turn. Like anytime in Street Fighter that you jump in and land an attack, whether that, and when I say that, that could be on block or on or actually getting a hit on it. Jump ins are very advantaged from a frame data perspective, meaning that your opponent can't hit buttons at you even after they block your jump in, or they'll get counterattacked. So something to think about when you're jumping in is there's never a never, there's always exceptions to rules, and you'll see them, and sometimes they'll work against you even though they were done for not great reasons, and it'll be frustrating. But if you want to establish one good habit, if you jump in, don't look for a DI shortly thereafter, unless there's something very specific you're looking for, because you can actually press the advantage here. You know, it can be hard to confirm into hits a little bit sometimes too, but even if we're just going and thinking that it's possible that this is just blocked, there'll be a better way to pressure than DI here. I don't have the specifics for DJ, but we'll want to continue our turn, because basically the things that DI will beat here is if Lily starts pressing buttons. But if Lily's pressing buttons here anyway, you're just going to counter hit her. So the DI in this case, you won't ever get anything from it that you're not already getting through other means, and this does give her a chance to counter DI you back, and then instead of it being your turn and you able to run your offense, she'll actually get you back, and we kind of give up our advantage there. And this is kind of the same thing we see from Molly here, but the opposite side. So this might just be going for something else and clipping the macro or whatever, but we'll talk about it nonetheless. So we're in this in this light string. Rewind it a little too far. And at this point, I don't know what it is with Lily, but there's probably some special she has that you can hit off the jab that will kind of like put the cap on your turn, or at that point we'll get our damage will be done, and we'll kind of reset to neutral. It's kind of the same thing. Actually, we catch Cam pressing a button, probably waiting for his turn to come back, right? So this like actually works out pretty well, but you probably are going to be more effective if those jabs were finished with a special move or something like that. But it works, and we get actually some more damage off. So I think honestly, you probably get that same amount of damage off of a light string with. I'm not sure what she follows up with, but there's something there that could be canceled into. It might even be that same I don't know, the move's Condor Spire, right? The kind of upward special, I think, probably could land off those lights. You'll get the same damage, and it'll be a lot less risk. But get into a cross-up, kind of a tricky defensive situation that was played fairly well overall. So this goes into the jump-in stuff on the block I was talking about. Cam gets this jump-in. On defense here, you can't press a button right away. It's going to be his advantage until he presses at least one more button, and that's why we kind of end up getting counter hit here. And that DI, I think, is a lot better than previous ones, especially really if we're a little bit closer to the wall there, we get the wall splat, then that's a good decision. Same thing here, if we're ready, something to start thinking about, and I'm going to tell you, like, it's taken me up until probably diamond or master level to even really start thinking about this. If you start thinking about it now, it'll help, but it'll take a while. But so we get the jump in, it's on block, and we're pressing a button, basically hoping to get the exact situation to happen where Molly presses a button, not respecting our turn. So positionally, this DI is good, but it's kind of the same thing when you're throwing that follow-up punch. You have to be ready for Molly to block it, in which case you don't want to do anything after that. But you want to be kind of like anticipating that she might get a hit if she presses a button, and you can cancel that into, again, I'm not sure with DJ, but one of his specials there, you should be able to get off that, I believe. And if not, if that's not a cancelable or combo linkable move, then I might be wrong on that. But it's really more about, not about like this specific execution, but just thinking about it there. But that's good with punish by Lily. Molly was ready for that one, and that seemed the first round. And overall, this one, like, I think it's a pretty competitive first round, and all the matches really were. I think that of the game plans, I guess I'm getting a little ahead of my notes, but let's talk about some of the game plan stuff right now. So I think that Molly does really good with the Lily game plan, which is essentially use this downward. Let me look up these move names really quick so I just don't sound ridiculous. But should have done this before I jumped on this, but I did not. Okay, so it's the Condor dive is the downward kind of dive kicky kind of thing, right? Tomahawk Buster being like the DP move, and Condor Spire being the horizontal moving one. So Lily's game plan is really to kind of play at this range here, about where the mid screen line is right now, and then you use buttons or use like the Condor dive to get inside and put forth some pressure, and then make the opponent guess whether you're going to be pressing buttons or going for the command grab. So if Lily has a life lead, she's content to just kind of sit at distance and let DJ come to her. She can also, if you're not being pressured, Lily can build those the wind stocks with the Condor wind move. It's a little tougher against a DJ because DJ can react with a fireball, but something to keep in mind. If you're full screen and you're not sure what to do, you can just do nothing, or you can try to build the wind. DJ is going to have to be a little bit more proactive in this matchup when, at least when he doesn't have a life lead. When he has a life lead, you can kind of just hang around and play the game of shooting fireballs at a distance and using the up kick to anti-air coming in. But he has to work to get inside of Lily when she's got the life lead. So it kind of, this matchup I think really kind of depends on whoever has a life lead can take less chances. That's kind of universally true of any matchup. But so we'll keep an eye and see how these game plans shake out here. So these are good fireballs from a distance, just keeping a distance, and then a good Condor dive in. Got to be kind of careful here. These are good. I think at this point, something else I've noticed is, especially when Cam is in fireball mode, Molly gets good at just making the read and using Condor dive to get in. This one actually doesn't. This one actually doesn't go over a fireball, but nonetheless, we still get a good counter hit. We could see that it looks like Cam is actually trying to AA there. I think off an up kick, and it just didn't quite come out. So you know, it's the right reaction. That's just a reaction execution thing that comes with time. at this point, if we're looking at it right now, with all of this, Cam's got a slight life lead right now, so this is a good time to just go into the fireball and anti-air mode, which he does. This is good. I like this too. I mean, you know, if we get the AA, that's good, but regardless, we get out of danger. What I really like is it was a single fireball this time, so what I see at all levels is people start throwing fireballs, and then they just throw like 4 of them in a row mindlessly. And you want to vary it, especially specifically in this matchup where Molly was good at using Condor Dive to get in over the fireballs. But if you kind of vary how many you throw and the rhythm you throw, you make it a lot harder for people to do stuff like Condor Dive over the fireballs and get inside, or if you're playing Cammy, Spin Knuckle or whatever, or you know, any other character that has a tool that skips fireballs. If you're unpredictable and don't fall into a rhythm, you could feel pretty good about fireballs. But once you just start repeating patterns or falling into the same rhythm, it becomes a lot easier for someone to start predicting your fireballs and then punishing you for them. Good jump in as well. We're talking turn stuff, and this. Some of this stuff, I'm going to say it now, and I just want you to like hear it and think about it and be aware of it, and then realize it's going to take a lifetime to really get all this stuff down. But okay, so we talked before, this is Cam's turn. He jumps in and he's going to follow up with a jab. Great decision. So pretty universally in this game, almost every button besides jabs are minus on block, meaning you lose your turn once you use it. Jabs, most characters can get 2. Pretty universally, 2 will always be safe on block. The third is where it starts to get tricky, and there's a lot of variables at play. But in this case here, for Molly or anyone that's find yourself in this situation, when someone jumps in on you and they're throwing jabs, you have to block 2 jabs. So the counterplay is basically if you block 2 jabs, it's your turn at that point, and you can take your turn back, or you guys can reset to neutral, where kind of the interaction starts over. If they notice that you are respecting the 2 jab rule, so to speak, like Cam's counterplay, after throwing 1 jab, next time he could walk up and throw you because you're not pressing that jab. And so that's kind of the guessing game you get into. But I would really suggest, if you want to like elevate your game to a high level, respect the 2 jab rule until people show you otherwise. And you'll also notice too, depending on your rank, and I mean that anywhere up to master levels, like you can't count on people to like quote unquote follow the rules. And really the game tends to be about figuring out which rules your opponent doesn't follow and taking advantage of it. But you'll notice your opponents aren't necessarily going to have this structure to their pressure, and it makes matches more volatile, because if you try to respect the rules, they're going to do some stuff that makes 0 sense and is going to catch you, but that's okay. But for both sides here, if you think about this, like this pressure sequence by Cam is perfect, and Molly did a good job, but pretty much universally you have to block 2 jabs before you can press a button, because right there you're trying to press the button and take your turn back, but you can't yet, just because in a block string those 2 jabs will always be safe and will always counter hit you. Good long distance poke and kind of closing the distance a little bit. If I would suggest on these Condor, I'm already forgetting. Tomahawk Buster. I'm just gonna call it the DP because it is basically the Dragon Punch mechanic. The choice to do one right here is pretty good, I think. You just get knocked down. So the choice to do one right here is good, because you want to interrupt his pressure. If you're gonna do it though, do that OD EX version, because it wouldn't have changed anything in this interaction. The same thing would happen. But if Cam can, in this situation, can hit you with a button as you're waking up, because he's. I don't want to get too deep into frame data, although if you two want to talk about that, we can. It just becomes, once we start talking about that, this video that I said was going to be 15-20 minutes, which realistically will be 45, will turn into like 2 hours. But there's a concept which I won't dive into in this video for the sake of time, but we can talk about it anytime that you like. After this knockdown, we get into a state where Cam has what we call universally, usually for people that don't know in fighting games, Oki, which basically just means that he can pressure you as you're standing up. So if he's pressing a button right here to time with you getting up, and you do this, if he throws or presses a button, if you do this version of the Tomahawk Buster DP, he'll actually beat you. But if you do the OD version, you have invincibility. So if he's pressing a button here that would usually hit you, you'll interrupt it. So if you're waking up and you're going to use this move, which sometimes you should to prevent people from being able to just freely pressure you, just make sure you're doing the OD version as long as you've got bars. You know, if you have less than 3 bars, just don't do it. You'll burn yourself out. But again, it doesn't change anything here, but it does. It will help if he's pressing a button that would beat this. But we get a punish. The important thing right now is that you're doing something. The throw is okay in this game. It does double damage on a punish counter throw. You can and would do more damage if you were to get like a punish counter combo just ready. You could probably do more like 3,000 damage, which 50% increase. And while that is important and you should do it at some point, at least throwing is taking advantage. You're not letting her completely off the hook. That's good. Confirmed. This is what we're talking about. This is an example of the Oki. So here we see Molly actually has the advantage, and she's gonna. We see that Cam is starting to press the button. He wants to wake up and press the button and take his turn back. Universally, I'm not gonna say it's bad yet. If you want to be disciplined, you don't want to press buttons here because if Molly is pressing a button or throwing, it's going to beat you, which she is, and we actually see this happen. So Cam is going for a throw, or maybe to tech, going for a throw tech, which is okay actually. That's not just jabbing out, you know, not just mashing buttons. I think you're looking to tech the throw here. But because Molly timed it on his wake up, that Oki, this is what we call like a meaty button, and she interrupts him. So that's good. Good jump in. We don't get punished for our Windspire, which is okay, and we get out. And I like this, this is really good spacing by Molly, I thought, generally in this matchup. So we get out, we're escaping pressure, and we're staying calm and backing up here. We're not just mindlessly pressing buttons, and we're not walking forward. We're getting out of range, and then we stop, which is good. Conjure Spire, and takes a little bit of a risk, but I think this is a pretty decent risk. Okay, we end up getting hit. This goes back to the same thing. The decision to do a DP there, I think, is pretty good. Needs to be the OD version. It doesn't cost us here, but kind of similar to before. If Cam was pressing a button there, he would have interrupted us. That was a really good kind of shimmy back and punish. Of course, here I think, as mentioned before, on the DI stuff. So this is a situation again where it's kind of our turn. So when we're throwing out that first button, I would eliminate DI here. The reason being is because you're either going to get hit and you can follow up with like a little bit of a combo, or if he blocks it, you can throw out some jabs, and if he's pressing a button, you'll end up hitting him. So it's like the the instinct to throw here is not, or throw out a DI is not bad, but because of this situation, it's one of those cases where if you just do regular buttons, it'll actually be better, because here I don't know if he would have recovered in time to actually be able to DI back, but point being, you'll get a little bit more damage, and you're not going to catch him with anything with a DI that you don't catch him with a regular button for. So that was mistimed a little bit, but I like that. That's a good. If you can get this down, I don't know if this is Lily's best meaty button, but it looks like a pretty good one. If you get that down, the timing of that, where that's hitting him as he's standing, that's that Oki meaty button pressure that we're talking about. That would be really good, especially like up until you get to about platinum or diamond, where people will start blocking there and not pressing buttons. But if you get that timing down in training mode, just like hitting someone as they're getting up with this button, you'll see a lot of immediate success in playing the game. Throwing in the corner is a good choice. The back throw in these situations are very good. It's good, very good situational awareness, because you were in this position that we don't want to be in, and you just got into an advantageous position, turning it around a little bit, where now Molly's one in trouble. I think that was all a good attempt. The DI is going to get you thrown here. DI stuff, I don't, for where you're at, I don't think this is necessarily bad, but it has to be a read that she's going to press a button, because it's going to lose to throw, and it's also going to lose pretty heavily if she's counter DIing. So it's not awful, but eventually that you'll run into situations where that's going to get punished more than not. So this is good. Something to know for both players, and one or both you might already know this, but especially this is like a heavy target combo. Most of the heavy buttons, once the first one is blocked, you can actually jab out of it. Okay, so this, I don't want to go into the weeds on frame data, but because it's popping up, so DJ is +5 here, which means if you're +5 or greater, generally +4 or +5, that means you can actually jab here, and you'll get a counter hit on her. This kind of interaction, like if you want like one quick rule, we were talking about the jabs earlier. If someone's doing 2 jabs in a block, you don't want to press a button. But generally, heavy buttons, when blocked, you can jab or otherwise punish. There are exceptions. If they're at like max range, then there's some spacing stuff that doesn't work. But if you want a spot to try to jab right after you block like a heavy button from the opponent, because you have a lot of time here, that this is all if you jab in there or here, now you're actually she's actually -9, you're +9, so now that means that you could probably hit a medium button and interrupt this. And at this point, at -26, anything you got is going to come out at this point, which you do. So it's really good patience by you to wait for that moment. I think that's good discipline, and you can actually in that situation press earlier and break that up. But good job remaining disciplined and then punishing him for it. It's good fireball. I like this. We're taking the win while we have space. This is really good. Just what I really like about that is you're both moving, you're both maintaining space, and neither you're just jamming buttons like that. These are like small things, little spacing things like that are really high level play. For it kind of like, it shows that you both played a lot of fighting games, even if like Street Fighters are not necessarily your primary one. Just this is how I like those little sequences of spacing and where you're not just pressing buttons. You can really tell. This was a pretty crazy read. I like this. As Lily, I like this. Because her special's a grab, so that's gonna beat like so many options. It was filthy. I loved it. If you had a strike special, you wouldn't want to throw it there, right? Because it could get blocked. But since this is a grab at that point, the only thing that Cam can really do there is hard read to jump. So filthy, I loved it. So that's actually that's pretty good there. After the two jab, like to tie into some other stuff that we've been talking about, right? Jab, jab, and now Molly knows or intuits it's her turn. So what I would do, get in the habit of here after that jab string, you end up trying to throw a heavier button, like a heavy punch. If you jab there, it'll be safer. Out of those, we talked about those jab block string concepts. You can safely hit a light button after those. You can't safely hit a heavy button after those. Even if Cam were just a block, you'd be able to block it and then punish. So if you swap to just hitting the light button there, you'll be safe, and it'll also give you more time to react to this DI. Because if you just jabbed, you have to train your reactions, but you can actually DI back. But talking about turns, this is a good illustration of it was Cam's turn. He threw 2 jabs and then he stopped. Great. And then Molly takes her turn back. It was the wrong button, but it's the right idea. And then and Cam is reading that, or otherwise knowing he wants to steal his turn back, and that's the DI. That's why this one worked. That and some of the other ones didn't. Unsafe on block, that's okay. Great punish by Cam, and right into level 3. That's really good usage for a couple of reasons. When you use your super, it becomes more important the higher you get. But I like this one. The damage it got was good, and we like that. But you were burned out, and so using that special gets you. It's going to end up getting you about 2/3 of your bar back, and that's really the important part from that. I guess it's more like a third, but still, like that. That's what you want to do. Now, being burned out here, I would probably move back. No matter what character I'm playing, I'm giving up my pressure at this point. Even though this is a good time for you to pressure, because you're burned out, you're taking a lot of risk. Because if she gets you in that corner, it's checkmate at this point. She can just hit you with a DI, and there's nothing you can do. She'll beat you. But you get out, so it's okay. Just something to consider. Some good pokes back and forth, neutral scramble spots. This is a good spot as a Lily for Molly to just grab a win stock. It's good, 50-50. You guessed right. Cam guessed right, jumping out. Misses a grab. That's okay. It's gonna happen. That's a good fireball. So at this point, even going back a little bit, probably back to that part where he jumped into the corner. Let me look a little bit. Make sure I'm correct here. Okay. So you got the life lead, and this is something that I don't feel like. To me, it's like this is when I start thinking someone's like a mid to high master when they start doing this. But this is the spot where, especially being burned out and with the life lead, you don't want to necessarily take the risk by going into offense. You could play this safe. You're doing pretty good, actually. Like that, challenging her when you're close like that is good. But you kind of get caught by that and a couple other things now. Like at this point, this game's really in your favor. You're about to get your full bars back. Molly's a little bit low. There's plenty of time on the clock, and you got the life lead, so you don't need to take risks. This is a good time to throw a fireball. Wait and see how she reacts. Throw a fireball. Wait and see how she reacts. If she jumps in, be ready to AA, and basically, instead of thinking about offense or running your offense, you could solely just throw out a poke here and there, and wait for her to maybe do a wind spike. Wait for her to get impatient and come forward, and that's when you can start pressing buttons. And you'll secure a lot of games like that. That was like, you did pretty well, because that right there is an up kick. I know that's an up kick. I know it didn't. Execution error or whatever, it happens, but that right there is the round winning up kick. So that was great. there, not taking a risk, just waiting for her to do something, and once the execution is cleaned up, you win off that interaction right there. All right, guess right. We get thrown, and this is kind of the problem with playing closer and taking some risks. Is now Molly's just made it a game. It's like even, which in this case I think benefits DJ because he's got a fireball. But we basically gave up this much life when we could have played really safe and just kept waiting for Molly to take risks. Yeah, it's good timing. I don't know if that was supposed to also be an up kick. If so, execution and you win it. But it's hard to get down, especially a charge motion, I think. But great throw choice there by Molly. It was a good round. Like, there's a good Lily round is mixing up the throws and strikes, coming in and kind of dictating the game. So I thought that was good by both players, really. There's a couple things to clean up there, and it could go either way, but it's very even. So we'll get into match 2 here. So I'm a little ahead of my notes, but my first note for this one was to talk about the structure of matches. So we'll just get into it. So that was like, this is a good back and forth, right? This is how you want to play neutral. There's some, you'll obviously, like, there's little adjustments you can make, but so Cam goes for the slide to get in a little bit. If he's faced a little bit closer, then it forces Molly to block, but it's okay. This is a good choice now that Cam came in and he's kind of recovering. So now it's Molly's turn, and she hits him with the light. It's great. We get combo off that, but we don't. And then Cam takes his turn back and misses, and that's okay. Molly goes into this heavy string again, which is okay. Just we have to make sure we're only throwing the first one because the rest will be unsafe, as you see there. Back and forth, you see each player takes their turn. That's a lot better if you do that on react. That makes that move, that this becomes safe. Like it's now going to be Cam's turn, but he can't punish you because he went into that EX move. Get the block. Now you're taking. Now Molly's taking the turn back, and then good whip punish by Cam. So like the way this works for people that aren't really familiar is you're in neutral. Like this for a neutral, it could be either person's turn. You get a poke to open them up. Maybe you get a hit confirm, a whiff punish, whatever. It's no one's turn. It's both players' turn. Then once you get inside is where we start talking about turns. So this is a good punish by Cam after an unsafe block. And we get that good wheel kick kind of thing. And this goes back to the DI, right? It's your turn there, and we don't need a DI because you can just follow up with other buttons. It's going to do the same thing, but probably better. But it's not bad necessarily. Good little whip punish by Molly into that string, and when it's spaced like this, I think. Let's see. When it's spaced like this, -5, so like technically a jab can punish you, but I don't think that, due to the spacing of it, I don't think you could be punished there. So we want to make sure we got to confirm this one on hit. That's okay. We don't get punished for this. These are good fireballs, okay, especially get this knockdown. But we just done 4, and Molly's gonna start expecting it, and that's why we get punished. It's good. This happened like I played Cammy, so I played dive kick character, and especially in the new season, the response to fireballs is the dive kick over it because we can't spin knuckle anywhere. And this Condor dive is essentially a dive kick. So I saw that. I smiled every time I saw that in the set. That punished a fireball. Sorry, Cam, I'm a little biased there. Just playing a character without fireballs and seeing it, but it's really good. Yeah, that goes back to the same thing. When we wake up with this, just make sure it's the OG version. It doesn't change anything, but here's a case. on a block string where I like a DI. It's very situation dependent, but if you see someone with this really low drive gauge and you hit it, like a DI here burns them out, whereas anything else doesn't burn them out. So you can weigh out two things in this situation, where if you continue the combo, you'll get more damage, but hitting a DI in this specific case is going to burn them out, which oftentimes is more important than damage. This is good whiff punish by Cam, and whiff punishing like that is set up by distance, intentionally or not. Basically, you're sitting at the right, like, Lily presents no threat to you here, so you can relax, and all you're looking for is this to whiff, and then you can punish it for free. Great job. Good Condor die or Expire come in. This is the right time, so you press that button at the right time. It's just wrong button here. So in Street Fighter, in Street Fighter 6 specifically, a lot of the buttons aren't a big disadvantage on block. So this is the right place for you to take your turn back, but this, rather than the heavy, if you hit a jab here, you're going to interrupt anything that Cam does, or pretty much any character, anything. But the heavy is why you actually get counter hit, is because he threw a faster button than you. So if you're taking your turn back, every situation is a little bit different, but generally light button is going to be safe. There are spacing traps, and we can open a can of worms as to why that is not always correct. But heavy there is almost always going to be incorrect, whereas a light will almost always be correct. But it's a good, like, the timing of it was really good. You did it at the right spot. It was just wrong button. That one worked. Worked out a little bit better, mostly due to the button choice of Cam, but again, same thing. If that's a light, that'll always be safe. Good whiff punish. Miss the combo, that's okay. Throw to take the win. Again, pretty good round on both sides.
Round 2. Fight.
Good air to air to start. I like getting the stock. Getting those stocks when there's downtime is great. It makes the Condor Spire safe on block, where not just safe on block, but where you are your advantage in the situation. So if you have those stocks, rather than the Condor Dive or anything, you can use the Condor Spire to get inside, and then you are in a state where you get to either follow up with jab pressure or go right into the command grab, and it's a 50-50. It'll make Cam have to guess. So if he presses the button in defense, it'll beat the command grab but lose to the buttons. Missed the grab, but good. Timing is right. In that case, that was a big button that you could probably punish with the button. Some of the same. Great Condor Dive again. Good counter DI in that case, I think. It was an odd one where it came from the other side. It wasn't like a head-on counter DI, but it'll put him in that state and take some drive gauge. Pretty good. It's a good 50-50. When you don't have the win stock, or when Lily doesn't have the win stock, it's not a true 50-50. I think that if Cam jabs there, I think he wins, but he doesn't. He's good. This is where, okay, I think I said earlier, and then take a second note, that I wanted to talk about the DIs and the block strings. So we talked about where not to use them. When you have your opponent against the wall, it is a good time to do it. I think in this case, just going into a combo would still be better, but if you're going to throw out a DI and a block string, do it when their back's against the wall, because if it's not a true block string, it'll wall splat them. And what that means is if they have a chance to do anything other than block, it'll wall splat them. So that's good. Meaty attempt, mistimed a little bit, otherwise you won't have an action. I hate that little slide kick. Using it well in this match, I think. This is a case of another. This is a turn thing I'm gonna talk about, but it's something I'm working on in mid master. So if you learn it now, great. If not, think back to this at some point. But, actually wasn't what I thought, so I'll talk about it later. But good read to go over the fireball again, like we're talking about.
Only I can hear it.
Final round. Fight.
Some more of the same. That's a good fireball punish. That's good game plan, which is really the note I had for this round. This was like DJ. I think this round is a good example of DJ running his game plan. So this is that. The jump in, we talked about that before, but reinforcement. Jump in, don't follow your button with a DI. Go into like a jab pressure string if they block it. Otherwise, be looking to hit confirm. It's okay to jump in and just start jabbing, because you're either gonna get the hits anyway, and then you can confirm into a special, or they're gonna block and it'll be safe. But if they press a button while you're jabbing, you're gonna counter hit them. So that would be my number one adjustment for you, Cam, would be on these jump ins. Rather than going into a DI, no matter what, just start blocking. Just start jabbing. Then if they block it, you get 2 jabs, and then you can kind of back off and reset. Or they're going to press a button and you're going to counter hit them. Or the jump in doesn't get blocked, and you'll be able to hit 2 jabs into, I don't know what with DJ, machine gun upper or something like that. I'm not really sure. You could probably ask B-side or one of the other really good DJs in the Discord for some advice there. And Lily, unfortunately, we have less Fight Rise members, but there have been a couple before I've talked about Molly where you hit some jabs, and you can jabs and other buttons that you could probably cancel into a special. But if you ask I think Sangra or maybe Double Sack, they could. There's another Lily I can't think of right now, but if you ask that in Discord, I'm sure someone can tell you what that should be going to. But that's a good. This is another. There's a better option here if you're confirming that jumping into buttons, but DI here is infinitely better than DI in the middle of the screen because you get the wall splat. So, there's some quote-unquote rules about Street Fighter, but there's always exceptions. And so if we're gonna throw DIs in the block string, do it in the corner. I love sometimes when you're trying to break someone's defense down, they're in the corner. If you just do a button into DI, they're going to be scared of other things. And the first 1 or 2 times a match, it'll be free. You'll get this free ball splat. Great choice on that DP there, but make sure you do the OD. That'd be one of my big tips for you, or one of my big sticking points, because I feel like your game plan is very good. You're good at getting the 50-50 mix going, and you're good at jumping over fireballs. But the one detail is that you pick good times to reversal in general, but it needs to be that OD version because it'll beat so many more things. Good air to air fireballs, get that counter fire. This sequence here. I think the reason why in this match that Cam had more success really is he's a little bit more patient than in the previous matches. So he's standing at this space and not walking forward and not necessarily trying to challenge Molly quite as much. So there's just some opportunities to get some counter hits that weren't present before. It worked once, go for it twice, but good job by Molly, jump over it, get that throw. These are good poking, and into the win stock here is great. That's great. Lily game plan and just game sense. Cam look for that and throw a fireball, but he wasn't ready for it, and that's partly because you do it at good spots and You don't do it every time there's a lull in the action, in which case it'll be easy for Cam to just start throwing fireballs. But you kind of respect the fireball and get him in right Cam, which is really good. So this is something that I still struggle with, especially on dives. If you see a charge character like DJ or Guile or someone crouching, don't do the dive. Don't do that. Fast forward that a little too much on what I was expecting, but yeah, so if he's sitting there ducking, he's charging and getting ready for that AA every time, so don't challenge him in the air. I do that all the time, and then every time I go, I should have known he's sitting there crouching, and that's why I got hit. But something to think about for jumps against specifically charged characters. Again, great reversal choice. Make sure that's the OD version. It's good fireball reaction to catch Condor Spire coming in. I think that's a key. The key to this matchup in general, I think, and I don't play either of these characters, so there's a DJ and or Lily Ming could probably correct me if I'm wrong, but fireball takes away the Condor Spire getting in, which is good. And then I thought the set as a whole, Molly did a good job of jumping and doing the Condor dives to get over the fireballs. So good fireballs there by Cam, and then catches Molly coming in a little bit. Pretty good, I think, DI choice by Molly here, just because this distance a couple times you're throwing buttons like this or that kind of lunge punch deal. DI will do well against both of them, so it's a good choice. Right here, Molly, you win. You win. Just go into your special here. But pretty good. This is good. After this, you got. I can only tell you this because I'm looking at the frame data right here. I definitely don't have this memorized, but you should be able to jab at this point and continue the combo. But go into the Condor Spire, I believe. Oh, this is the DP, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So I probably wouldn't DP there. You actually can sometimes. Sometimes this is like a genius decision, and it might have been, honestly, here it would have been if you went into the OD version, then you're invincible to this jab and you win. In general, in that situation, I think to be able to do that, you have to have a read. But you made the right read here. But this is why, in this situation, you got to do the EX version if you're doing it, just because a jab. Otherwise, a jab's going to beat you. That was good. And this is pretty good timing here. I think if that was the dive, that seals the round. A good reaction by Cam. So we're at the 53-minute mark of the 15-minute video I was going to do on that. This would be the halfway point, but I feel like at some point even this is probably too long to really digest. So I'll just reiterate a couple things, and we can talk more, especially on Discord, or if you just want to talk about the set more, to go in depth about stuff. But the big things, my big takeaways of the set in general and some specific things to work on was the reads on the Condor dive over Fireball, and the adjustment to do that, I think, was a great game plan, especially against DJ. Game plan in general by Lily and Molly, pretty good. You just want to kind of get that pressure going, and then make him guess as to whether you're going to throw the command grab or whether you're going to keep pressure with buttons. DJ game plan, I think, was overall good. I think there were a couple spots where you're going for AAs that would clip the dive. That would have changed things a little bit. So I think your game plan was overall good. The reminder, specifically from that first match, but this applies to everyone at every level, honestly, and myself included. But remember that if you have the life lead, You don't have to take risks, which means you can kind of just sit and hang back. And that's very powerful in this matchup, I think, because if you just kind of wait, Lily either has to come in to get inside of you to do damage, or she can sit back and take wind stocks, but you can fireball those if she does. Otherwise, you can kind of just sit, you throw out an occasional fireball and hang out, make her come to you. And even if you don't have the life lead, unless there's less than 30 seconds left, you have plenty of time in this game. Most of these matches go maybe 30 seconds. Maybe, you do get longer ones, but like the damage in this game is so high that you can really use the clock. And I feel like I learned this lesson of patience every month or so, where I go, okay, I'm finally playing patient. Then you play and you get better, and you play against tougher competition, and then you realize, oh man, I thought I was patient, but I'm not. Like, I have more time on the clock. I don't have to take risks. Then you get more patient, and then you level up a bunch, right? And you play tougher people, and you realize, oh my gosh, I'm still not patient. I thought I was. So when I say that, just that's a reminder to everyone. You can probably always be more patient. The only time I'd say you're not being patient enough is if you see a bunch of timeout losses for you. If you're not getting any of those, you're not playing too patient. You might you might be playing too passive, but not too patient. So anyway, long story short, just keep a reminder of that. It's one of the most like highly underrated skills, I think, in fighting games, is just being patient. It's not always exciting, but it'll win you a lot of matches. I don't think either of you were particularly impatient, especially for not being like a high master level. I think you both outplay your ranking. There's some mechanical things that clean up, but you guys play so many fighting games, right? So it's fun to watch because there's a lot of fundamentals of fighting game fundamentals that are game agnostic that were good and on display there, and some Street Fighter things clean up. So checking my notes again. Yeah, so the DIs and block strings for both of you too. You'll probably do better if you eliminate those. You don't have to eliminate it completely. I will say the higher you go up, the less you DI. You can DI some certain things on read, especially DJ is very susceptible to DIs. But if you want to do it for specific reasons, and so what I would focus on for a little bit is only use a DI if you're countering someone's DI or reacting to their DI, or if you have them, if their back is up against the wall. So if you hit the DI and they block it, they'll get the wall splat. Like, use them in those two situations and only those two situations for a while. It's going to force you to do some other stuff and feel uncomfortable, but what you'll end up seeing is you had a lot of room there to confirm into combos and things like that and do more damage. But I think you're going for a DI, which you're anticipating something that you don't need to anticipate, because if you're just looking for whether they're blocking or getting hit there, you can continue running your offense. The DI is good to take your turn back, but you don't need to take your turn back when it's already your turn, is kind of the way I put that. So that's pretty good. For the final match, I thought was the difference between those two matches, I think, was that Cam kind of sat and was more patient in the second one, so there's better opportunities to catch Molly coming in, whereas the first one, Molly's game plan was the one that was kind of dominant and worked. She imposed her offense, and then there were a couple times where Cam had an advantage there and kind of overextended, and then Molly did a great job of taking advantage and not letting up, and that was really the difference in those ones. So overall, pretty good. I think I've talked too much, and I was hoping to be a little bit more structured and disciplined in the way I did this review compared to normal, but I end up doing stuff off the top of my head and talking for an hour. So I think we'll end it there for this. And if y'all want to talk about any of that more or better options, or going into more depth or whatever, then we can talk on Discord or somewhere else or whatever. But we'll end it for there, and hope y'all have a good day. To plug again, make sure you check out the Wake Up 3 podcast, link there below me. and then also the show that Cam and Molly put on every other Tuesday. It's the Tuesday that One Fight Stand does not happen. I know they'll be on a bit of a break through June, summer break. So catch them when they're back. That's it. Have a good day, guys.